the psychology that we are talking right now, which is very appropriate, is really centering on the needs of everyday, family, the needs of the children, the needs of the parents. You're trying to bridge them, make them understand. Because, we always heard in a family, the children right now, the younger generation, will always tell their parents, you don't understand us. And the parents will say, you don't understand. That means to say, their world 20 years ago and 20 years later doesn't blend anymore. So this is where the psychologists, especially if you are also a priest, you have this background of theology, spirituality, that is where you can come in to become, as a messenger of peace for them, because you try to understand them. And then, what is so nice, because of the pastoral and spiritual care that you can tell them, so they don't see you as a threat. They see you as a friend trying to help them, isn't it?
Yes,
this is
certainly.
how I interpret why you choose to be a psychologist.
You describe it very well, and I think it is very important that one understands that the psychology that we stand for is something that may not focus on psychological deep difficulties, pathology, severe disease.
Yes, it's not that. Yeah.
No, it is, as you say, the day-to-day problems where we have difficulties to communicate to each other, where we have difficulty to understand each other, where we have difficulty to express our needs, and how we can integrate them into a vocational life. In fact, the Institute of Psychology of the Gregorian is meant especially to help people to develop a sense of their proper vocation, to find out what is your vocation as a layperson, as a religious, as a priest, and to see where are those inconsistencies, where do I not live up to what I tell people and what I tell God and what I tell myself. So to find out where are the dynamics that bring me away from what is dear to my heart. Because I want to do that, but somehow I find myself in difficulty to do that. And I believe certainly that people are helped by this approach. And what I understand more and more, working with people over the years now, that there are certain areas of human life that can be helped by psychology. And by interviewing people and by having some sort of colloquium of encounter and of therapy maybe. But there is an area, there is a level of functioning in the human life, in the human soul, that needs more attention also from the spiritual side. There are things that have to be addressed on a deeper level, and therefore I believe, and I've seen it works, if I may say so, that people who are helped also on the spiritual level reach a peace, reach an understanding, reach a personal integration that many people look for but can't find.
With so many problems that we are encountering, this is the kind of psychologist with a heart, with the spirituality, who knows what is the best and who knows what God wants to convey. Because this is more important. It's not money making. It's really more with care and love and, trying to tell you Jesus loves you, and not the world is not that bad, because Jesus believes that you have a good heart. So bring the goodness in you, So I think this is the kind of approach that we need to relate to people, I don't know, because this is how I understand by what you're telling me.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I would describe it in the same way. And I was happy enough in the recent years, as the Dean of the Institute of Psychology, I had the occasion to visit many of our graduates around the globe. And in many countries, our graduates have set up schools for religious and priests who train as formators, because our specialty is how people who are in formation, religious formation, in novitiates, in formation houses, in theologates, in seminaries, how to really develop a personality that integrates the human and the spiritual part, as St. John Paul II asked for in the famous document Pastores Dabo Vobis. which is the foundation of any kind of priestly or religious formation and vocation. So I visited a number of our graduates in different countries, in different contexts, and what is really, for me, very consoling is that they can help, they can work with many people of all kinds who are engaged within the church and sometimes also outside the church. And they can help them to bring out the potential of living in an authentic way, in a credible way, in a dedicated way, their vocation. So it is really amazing for me, and I can say I feel very privileged that I work in Rome with people from all over the world, and I have seen how this formation then pays off in wherever they are and whatever they do when they try to transmit this message. Because it is, as you say, it is something that is very much searched for, but very few people can offer that in the combination of the human accompaniment and the spiritual accompaniment.
Yes, yes.
Because, I mean, you could find it in confession if the confessor is a person who can understand, who can listen well, who has the time to listen well enough, and then can also counsel in an understandable way. Unfortunately, in many parts of the world, this is not the case, because people either are very much under pressure of time and they don't listen well enough, or they are not really listening and perceiving what is the real question behind the sins that the person confesses, so that I can encounter a person and I can also give some advice that is helpful to live out the gospel in the day-to-day life.
Yes.
And over the last 12 years since I am at the Institute of Psychology of the Gregorian, and since I teach and offer accompaniment to our students, I have seen the growth of many of them. We take in very few every year because we select them very carefully. We want to see not only where they are, but also the potential for growth. And if you see from the first year to the fourth year, because our program is of 4 years, including the internship, you see such a growth, such a willingness also to take on the inner dynamics and to work through them. And then in the end, they are really willing to pass this on also to the people to whom they are sent, because then they return to their countries, they are given responsibilities like being a rector or a spiritual director or a novice mistress or something like that. And there is a real inner sense of responsibility and co-responsibility for the good of the people. And I found in almost all of them, I find really this attention to what is the next possible step for the person, so that we can accompany them in a way that they are invited to grow, but they are also helped to grow, and it's not as if we ask them to leap, but to take the next possible step in their human and in their spiritual journey.
That was very interesting, the topic, but we will later discuss it more, sa pagbabalik po ng Power to Unite with Elvira.